Welcome to Rich in Blockchain. And we are just doing a bit of a market recap of what is going on with Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrency space. Anyway, just doing a bit of TA on this one. Currently looking at the moment, we can see that BTC is still in a downtrend, but I think we are going to be looking to reverse for the time being. Target is still about that $17,000 range, but in my opinion, I don't think we have really retraced yet. We may do another retest back up here about the 19,000, or possibly the probability of the bigger downtrend at 21,000. But at the moment, it's just a bit uncertainty. You can see that the 50 moving average on the hourly is starting to reverse, which also spells a bit of a reversal pattern coming up as well. So having a look at that, it's really uncertain at the moment. I mean, we did bounce off this 0.618 Fibonacci retracement, as you can see here, that point there. That 18,000 support is holding pretty strong, and that also goes all the way back from the September lows as well, September lows on the 7th of September. So short term, probably looking for a bounce back up to retest this zone here at that 19 or just under 20,000 range, in my opinion, before we see further downs to the 17,000 zone. But looking on the daily, everything still looks the same. So we're still looking bearish regardless of which, so nothing really changes much on that. Long term, we're still downtrending, because as you can see here, the super guppy ribbons are actually showing that's going bearish because of all the red. But once it starts changing to this neutral color here, we can expect to be reversing from then on out. But until then, we just have to wait and see. I mean, as I said, worst case scenario from us drawing a massive descending triangle here would be about that $8,000 range, which we do not really want to hit. I prefer us to hit about that $11,000 range, which is also previous support as well. So if I was to draw here, you can see that this 12,000 range was also previous resistance, which is now support. So most likely holding that position there. So that's just for BTC. We're having a look at ETH next. ETH, that's a lower time frame there. So we're going to go on the hourly. As you can see in the hourly, it's done the same as BTC. It's done to reverse here. So if I was to draw, or just grab this Fibonacci retracement here, just make some number changes. 320. Okay, as you can see here, we have come back down to retest this 0.618 retracement so many times. So as you can see here as well, that the 50 moving average is starting to reverse back up. So we are most likely to catch this bullish trend up. In my opinion, we are going to come back to this 1420 range, which is now going to be a resistance there, and possibly pull back. So what may happen is, if I was to draw a polygon, so we came back here, down here, retest it, broke here, retest it from here. I reckon we will come back to this 420 zone, possibly, before we see 1,000 or 1,100 ETH, most likely, in my opinion. But yeah, that's just that at the moment. So we can't really see much going on at the moment on ETH, because everyone's waiting for the FOMC meeting to come this afternoon. If they increase the rates by 0.75 or 75 basis points, then everyone's going to, it's already priced in, so prices may rally up. But if it's 100 basis points, it's pretty much going to drop further down, in my opinion. But wait and see what happens on that one. But the charts are showing that it's starting to reverse on the hourly. Let's have a look at the 4 hourly. 4 hourly looks a bit weak, but as I said, if it does come back up and retest this zone here, we can see that this 50 moving average is going to act as resistance, pushing the price further down because of how steep the 50 moving average is. And also looking at the MACD and the histogram, we can see here that it's also reversing as well for further side down. But although the RSI does show that we are in a pretty much a sold area, not oversold yet, possibly reversing up, but can also go further down as well. And if it does go further down, as I said, drawing this head and shoulders from the past that started coming through, we can see that the target zone will be about the $1,100 mark here. But I do expect us to see a bounce up first before we see a retest down to the bottom lows. Looking at BNB, target still remains the same for BNB anyway. This whole ABC correction wave that we have drawn out. Yeah, which is still the 0.618 retracement at that 242 zone. Yeah, nothing much on that one yet. So if it does retrace there, that'll be perfect. Pretty much perfect Fibonacci retracement plus an Elliott wave retracement as well. So just waiting to see what happens there for Binance. ADA, I know that they have their upgrade coming up, but doesn't really seem to be doing much for their price. They have broke out sideways, and they're just pretty much, I mean, they broke out, but they are trading sideways. So as I said, that point, or that 40 cent mark is still the support zone. May possibly come back down and retest that if you want to buy it in. So a lot of uncertainty at the moment. XRP had a bit of a breakout, so it broke out finally, anyway, out of its descending downtrend line. So what I may expect us to see with XRP at the moment, so let me just draw the polyline again. I'm going to probably break up, touch that point there, which is the 100 moving average, and then come back down to retest this zone. And if we just retest and go up, the other scenario is us hitting the 50 cent range. But if it doesn't work, what we can possibly see as well, just so let me change this color of that as well, is we may come here, retest, do the same thing, but we break down further lower and create a newer low, which is what we don't want. But in my opinion, the most likely scenario is this one here. Looking at Solana, same thing, trading on sideways, just like ADA, and nothing exciting happening there at the moment. Support is still at that 27.9 mark, and if that breaks down, of course, that $15 range is the support for Solana. Yeah, nothing much that can be said about that one. I don't think there's anything exciting coming up for them as well, but long-term play, Solana is a good project. Looking at Matic, as I said, over the coming days, it will come back down to retest this zone here, which is at 67.5 cent range. Nothing can be said much about that, but once that breaks, if that breaks, the next support line will be 32.5 cents. Yeah, so nothing much on that, but yeah, I mean, it's retracing to the 0.786 Fibonacci zone, which is what it looks like. Looking at Chainlink, nothing really much happening there on Chainlink. As I said, it's just trading sideways, and as you can see on the daily here anyway, it's getting closer and closer. So most likely what may happen is as it gets closer to it, just let me just draw that one again. So as it gets closer, it may just move on sideways, and then as it keeps moving on closer, then it'll start crossing over to the tops, and then the next zone, or next level of resistance, sorry, just let me just redraw that again. So the next level of resistance would be this zone here, which is about the $11 range, before we get rejected back then possibly, and then moving on up from there. The reason being is because of the previous support, which has now become resistance. Okay, so that's that point here. So we may get heavily rejected here before we move on up or see any upwards movements. Having a look at NIR is doing as what we have said over the last few days. So it's coming back down now to retest this 0.3 or this blue line here, and hopefully that holds. If it doesn't hold, as I said, the next point for NIR would be that 2.362 range for NIR. Having a look at VeChain, trading on sideways, doing something similar to Chainlink, but other than that, it's actually not broken out of the descending triangle yet. So it's still moving on sideways. But once we actually get a clear indication of what's going to happen, like XRP, we can possibly retest this downward trend line and break out. Until then, there's no other further action for VeChain. Having a look at HAPI, on the hourly, we can see that it is starting to follow this point here of the breakdown. So as I said, the next level of support will be about that 70 cent or $7 range. If that doesn't hold, expect us to go further lower to that $5.5 range, which, as I said, in my opinion, HAPI is still a great project. Yeah, it's just given the dynamics of things at the moment, there's no real interest in cryptocurrencies. Looking at Atom, we can also see that the double top has played out that we have drawn from yesterday. So I've been following this one for a while, but the next, I guess, perfect taking profit zone would be about that 1274. If we do double bottom, we'll pretty much be at this point here, which is the 11.5 range. May happen, but the risk to reward at the moment is a bit risky because it's starting to break down already. But if you're going to short on where the neck of the line is here, it'll be great, but just be careful that it may wick up. Looking at BTC Dominance, you can see that BTC had a great bounce. it's just trading on sideways, nothing else really interesting there, but it's just a great gauge to see that BTC is holding its position, still having a lot of the allocations being allocated to it, so no one's really selling BTC in this bearish market. And lastly, looking at the DXY, we can see that's at 110.77. So right now, in my opinion, it's forming a rising wedge. A rising wedge is generally a bearish pattern, and this is also what I drew as well prior. So this is what I think may happen anyway with the DXY. So I reckon from that here on, it may retrace back down to this bottom before we go up any further. We might do a bit of this before we go down, or we may actually come back up and retest. So this is just what I'm seeing at the moment with the DXY. Just be careful trying to short cryptocurrencies, because it may have a negative effect on you at the moment, because we are kind of close to being bottom. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Okay, that's all I have time for today, guys. Catch you guys later. Bye. Anyway, my name is Rich, and you've been watching Rich in Blockchain. I'll catch you again soon for the next episode. Please remember to like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a good one.